Yo, what's going on? Welcome back to the Boardroom Podcast, where we help you stay calm, change lives, and have business on your terms. Now, what I want to talk about today is actually how we've averaged an 85% show rate over the last 3 years of me running a business in the online space. Right now, my business used to struggle with like a high no-show rate. When I first launched an online offer back in like 2018, always had like a 50 to 60% show rate. And that number got worse when we started running cold traffic and started running paid ads. So now for like the last 3 years, I've averaged over an 85% show rate on every single brand that I've launched, whether it was a financial offer, whether it was a fitness offer, whether it was business coaching, whether it was software. It doesn't matter the vertical. And I thought this was just kind of like how it is, but it's apparently very unique in the fact that we've been able to have so many results and get to that point where that's just like expected. It's different. So I want to dive into it and really some of the main core principles that I follow. And we actually have a 7-step nurture sequence that we use to nurture the leads that book a call to essentially ensure that they show up. And we don't use like fear mongering or anything like that. It's very value based to the point where by the time somebody's completed our nurture sequence, even if they're not having a call with me, they build a know, like, and trust in 3 core areas. And these are what I call the 3 levels of trust that needs to be built. So level 1 is trust in our brand and our company. Level 2 is trust in our expertise. Level 3 is trust in our methodology, right? So everything that we do when somebody books an appointment with any of my brands, there's a very methodical process that's well orchestrated that is designed to educate the prospect in one of those 3 levels. And as they start to consume information, the goal is somebody reads all the emails, watches all the videos. They are going to show up to their call with their credit card in hand, and it's just our job to not offend them and talk them out of buying or talk them out of investing into whatever we're doing. So, and the reason why this is really important, it really comes down to the fundamentals of marketing and psychology and just persuasion, right? So if somebody's coming in to your funnel, my mindset is like, that is a real person who has taken the time out of their day to check out what we do, right? So I have to make sure that within a split second, they can determine if what we have is for them or if it's not for them. So that means everything has to be congruent as far as the messaging. And I prioritize clarity of message over sexiness, right? So the ad that they see has to be clear as far as the messaging. What is this for? Who is this for? What do we do? What is the offer? Like, it has to be very, very clear the problem that we solve from an advertising level. And then when they get to the initial landing page or even the opt-in page, that has to be just as clear and it has to be congruent with what they saw in the ad. So they saw the ad, and the reason why I do this is just another layer of redundancy, right? They saw the ad, right? And they clicked. They might have mindlessly just clicked and just was like, oh, this looks interesting. I want to make it very clear from that, their first impression, what we do, who it's for, problem that we solve, is this for them, right? And then once they go through that process and actually decide that this could be for them, then I want to make sure that throughout the entire process from then on, I'm reinforcing that they are in the right place. I'm reinforcing that they are in the right place and that we could be able to help them. All right. So everything from that point on, I'm communicating to them. I know your pain. I know your struggle. And I probably know your challenges better than you do because I've been there and I've got enough reps under the bar to show that I know how to solve this problem. I know how to solve this problem like the back of my hand. I know the pains associated with this problem, and I've done the work. I've eaten glass. I've eaten shit to solve the problem so that you don't have, so that you don't have to go through that same challenge that I went through. So I want to communicate that throughout the entire process. So before the book a call, we're making it clear what we do. We're making sure the message is congruent, and we're making it clear that we know their challenges, we know their problems, we know their desires, and we have a very good solution for them. And then once they've booked a call, and people typically will book a call because you've communicated enough for them to want to explore finding out if what you do is legit and that you can actually help them. And this is where you have the biggest opportunity to get your message across to that person. When somebody schedules a call, right, they're in the process of deciding if they want to really do business with you. And it's your job to give them enough information and to reinforce that, one, that call is extremely valuable, that it's not just going to be an opportunity for a product to get shoved down their throat and for them to just like, hey, buy my stuff. So it's an opportunity for you to communicate to them from a company level, like, hey, we are legit. Here's our value. This is what we're about. This is why we do what we do, right? This is our vision. This is our mission. This is who we are. You want to communicate who you're about. Like, who are you? Like, why should they trust your company? Why should they trust you? So I want to build trust in the company. I want to build trust in our expertise. This is who we are. This is why we do what we do. And I just want to show you in as many ways as possible that we're very good at what we do. Right. So I build trust and expertise through demonstration, breaking down client accounts, case studies, showing our own results, taking them through our process of how we solve these problems and giving them a little background about us. Like, we've been doing this for years. We've worked with hundreds of businesses and scaled multiple 7-figure businesses, and just proof after proof after proof after proof after proof, just demonstrating I've solved this problem. Like, I know my shit. I know what I'm doing. And then the third level is building trust in our methodology, right? And that comes through just explaining your process and clearly documenting your process, naming your process and organizing it in a way where it gives them a very clear roadmap from like, from the time I start working with you, what are the processes that I'm actually going to go through to get the results? And what that does is gives them the ability to start future pacing what it would look like to work with you. And they get to experience a little bit of what, like, the kind of clarity and certainty that you are able to provide them because you actually have a plan, right? You have a proven system, you have a proven model, you have a proven process, a proven framework of getting them results. And so you want to be able to communicate those things in as many ways as possible when somebody schedules an appointment. So we're telling a story in our emails. We're telling a story in the videos on our confirmation page. And we have one place that we're sending them to, right? They can either consume the information via email, or they can consume the information via video on our confirmation page, right? But everything points them back to that one asset because I want them to consume the information, right? They're in information gathering mode. So I want to make it easy for them to get the information, consume it, do their homework before they show up to that call. And what that does is reduces the amount of skill that my sales reps need to close deals, right? Because all that heavy lifting is being done. Can you imagine how much easier it's going to be for you to close a deal if, one, the person shows up already trusting your company, already knowing who you're about? They show up, two, confident in your expertise, that you know what to do, that you can actually help them. And three, they already know your methodology and they're like, yeah, this is like legit. This is what I want, right? And the beautiful thing about what I've discovered is as people go through our process, they're like, man, like, you've got the best post-booking experience I've ever had, hands down, bar none. And the reason why I want to make sure that experience is great is because I actually care, right? I care about their experience. I care about the relationship that I'm building with this prospect and that my organization is building with this prospect. I want them to go through our stuff and be like, man, like, these guys are really good at what they do. They're ethical and our values are aligned, right? On the flip side of that, I even took a screenshot of it where we've had people cancel their calls because it became very clear to them that we weren't a good fit for them. And I want that. I want people to remove themselves from our sales process because of how clear our messaging is. It's abundantly clear what we do and who we do it for, to the point where it's so clear that a prospect doing their research and consuming information before they call removes themselves. They disqualify themselves and like, hey, you're not like, I'm not a good fit for you guys, or you're not a good fit for me. Great. You know why that's awesome? Is because the way that we have an entire acquisition system set up is that there's extensive tracking that's happening. So when people remove themselves out of the process, and anyone who makes it to the end of the process, we're gathering that data, feeding it back to the advertising platform to further optimize our campaigns, and showing Facebook and Meta and Instagram or YouTube and Google, hey, these are the types of people that we want. Find us more of these types of people. And when you orchestrate your process in such a way where it becomes very clear who it's for, what you do and who you do it for, and who you are as a whole, your expertise and your methodology, if somebody consumes all that information, I can guarantee they're ready to buy. Right? And it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of attention to detail. It takes a lot of like organizing to be able to put a process like that together that really turns anyone who books an appointment into a raving lunatic fan of your brand, or somebody who just doesn't like you. And the beautiful thing about it, we just had 3 deals closed last week. 2 of them were referrals from people that didn't even buy. But because they went through the process, they're like, wow, you guys are legit. It may not be for me, but I know a few people who actually could use this. That comes through giving people a great experience and orchestrating that process in a way where it's very pleasant, right? So your main takeaway, if you struggle with your show rates, take time to really study your avatar and understand, who are you trying to get on the phone with? Why should they even show up to the call? How is this a value add to them? And do they even have enough information to truly value the opportunity they have to speak with you or your team at a high level? And then look at your entire process and think through, well, if I'm in my prospect shoes, what do they need to see in order for them to think like, wow, this is going to be a really valuable call. This is an opportunity for me to really get the help that I need. From their perspective, what do they need to see? What are the fears that they have that would prevent them from wanting to show up to the call and think like, oh, maybe this may not be a good fit for them, right? What kind of fears do they have? And can you address those fears, those challenges before they show up to the call in a way where they're looking forward to their conversation with you or your organization, right? And it takes time to really sit down and think through that. Well, for me, we've already mapped it out into a 7-step nurture sequence. I'm not giving it away for free. Because it's a lot of work. There's a lot of context that you need, and there's a lot of nuances to it. But essentially, I'm going to give you kind of like the overview of what that system looks like. And if you want a more in-depth training on it, I'm going to record a Loom video that really goes through in-depth what that looks like and the psychology behind it, so you can understand the principle and the frameworks and be able to implement it for yourself. Hopefully you found this helpful. Till next time, stay calm, change lives, and have business on your terms. Deuces.